Welcome back to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, it's your boy Kier, the critic, and today we're actually out in Placerville. We're at the El Dorado County Fairgrounds, and today is the iHeart Film Mixer, which is happening today from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a great collaboration of film enthusiasts, directors, actors, producers. There's a lot of different vendors here today. They've got pizza, they've got all kinds of hosts of things, wine tasting, beer tasting. It's going to be a really exciting event. We've got a booth here, and we're going to go inside and check it out and see if we can talk to a few folks about this wonderful event that's taking place today.
All right, make some noise if you are SAG in the room. SAG-AFTRA in the room. Anybody SAG? Yeah, make some noise for SAG. SAG has had a tough year, to say the least, but they came through shining. Big things are happening, and for that reason, I'm honored to have the opportunity to introduce our guest, Didi Escobedo. If you could come to the stage, the Assistant Executive Director, SAG-AFTRA, San Francisco, and we'll follow up with the Q&A afterwards. Thanks so much for being with us.
So much. What wonderful company to be in. I feel so honored. And thank you, Kathleen, for having us. This is truly an honor to get to speak tonight and to connect with everyone here. This is a tremendous event. I've been telling everybody all day, I've been so excited to be at today's event because I've heard about it for years. And it has exceeded expectation. It is a true reflection of a wonderful community here and why productions have such an amazing experience here and why there's such a depth of talent here. So thank you so much for having me here to speak today. I'm so excited to share with you what a year it's been. There's been quite a bit. So my name is Didi Escobedo. I'm the Assistant Executive Director for the San Francisco, Northern California local office for SAG-AFTRA. It's quite a title. Took a couple years to get a hold of that. And it's so funny because people would always say, oh, that's interesting. You have an office here? Oh, there's an industry here? And after this last year, people are like, oh yeah, we know who you are. We've heard about SAG-AFTRA all around the world. And it's been a really formative year in terms of really leveling up protections for performers while you're on set, and allowing for producers who are building independent films, who are making independent films, to have access to that professional talent. So what's really been inspiring to see is that, you know, everybody now is catching on to the fear of, oh, AI displacing everything. And the new contracts that we were able to achieve really protect the performers' rights and protect their wages. So that was really a big accomplishment, and we've continued to build on that through every agreement, through animation, sound recordings. We're in a fierce battle for the interactive video games, and soon we'll come to the table for commercials and corporate educational videos next year. So if you work in any of those sectors as an actor, the idea is that AI isn't here to replace you, it's here just to that even if the employers utilize it, you'll still get paid your wages and your images will be protected. Your voice will be protected. That was a clear message that was received. There's clear and conspicuous consent so that you know where your voice and your image is going. The reason why this is so important, we've talked about this for years. I actually started my career as a talent agent. When I started, I had my first interview right out of college with a talent agent. His name was John Rylandson. And he said, you know, nobody grows up thinking, I want to be a talent agent when I grow up. Except this was, of course, before Entourage. But at the time, nobody really thought that or wanted that. And he said, why don't you just come in for a day, check it out, see if you like it. And I just kept going back for 16 years. And the agency grew while I was there, and I eventually became the agency's director. And this has been like old home week today because I've seen a number of people that I had the good honor of working with in those years, whose careers I saw flourish, and who are just amazing spirits that I'm so glad to see working in the industry today. And we would always talk about the idea of, what does it mean to be a performer? What does it mean to work in a commercial medium? And at that time, it was a novel concept to think of yourself as a product, but we really say, who are you? Really distill it down, because what is it about an actor that makes them so interesting that people want to relate to them? And it's the idea that you are an aspirational figure for people. People identify themselves in you. And for you to have a craft and a process that brings that out, especially in a film medium, you really have to be in tune with who you are as a person, and how you bring that forward in all the work that you do, and what makes you truly unique, that nobody else is going to give the read that you give, that nobody else is going to express their eyes the way that you do on film, that they're not going to connect and collaborate with people in the way that you do. Everybody here at some point slipped in, oh, and I'm an actor, and I do this, and I do that. But we all have that moment, right? Where you're connecting, you're collaborating, and it's something that's unique to you that you have to offer. And what's wonderful to see is that people are always going to want that. So I started off talking about AI, but the reality is they're always going to connect to you as a human. And that's what we're excited to see, is how do we protect the actor's process? How do we protect you as a product, right? So as agents look at you, they think, yeah, people are buying this product, they're buying this. But really, I've started to look at it more as the individual. How do we protect each and every performer as they go through their career? Whether you're just starting out, and I don't mean that as an age thing, if you're this generation of actor just getting into it, or if you're getting back into it, or if you're an actor who's weathered the storms of the ups and downs of this industry, which is just the nature of the business, how do you maintain that unique sense of self that nobody else can do that exact read and that exact performance? And that's where the union comes in. Because as much as your agent might be putting it out there, as much as a casting director may want to call you in, as much as a writer or director might write with something in mind for you, they're going to make money off of you doing that. So SAG-AFTRA is a member-led organization, a union that protects your rights, that makes sure that your image is fairly used and that you're compensated for it. And that's where I'm excited to get to work with members, because it's a member-led organization. It is about the individual protections for every person who walks on that set. But when you're working on a SAG-AFTRA production, you know that everybody there is being treated equally in that respect, that everybody's covered under the right rates and terms. And as an organization, there are opportunities for committees to work together, for a board to work. I'm so honored that Catherine Howe, our local president, and Robert Chestnut, our local vice president, are here today representing the union. They've been giving great advice all day to those who are new to the acting process and those who are veterans, because they understand the arc of this, and that it really means standing together in solidarity to make sure your rates are protected, your wages are protected, your image is protected, and your work is protected. So that's the idea behind SAG-AFTRA. And one more thing I would mention is, for those of you who are writers, directors, editors, producers, there's a contract for every budget level. And this is probably the most accessible SAG-AFTRA has ever been. When you really think about it, if you have a short story, if you wake up one morning and you're like, you know what, today's the day, I'm going to make the movie, just like Mark said. Today's the day I'm making the movie. We have something that even covers micro-budget agreements. So we have anything from a production budget level of 0 all the way to millions. And you can hire professional talent under those agreements. It's as easy as filling out a form online. And if you're approved under those provisions, you can go ahead and start shooting right away. And if you have a heftier budget and more to play with, we have short project agreements, feature length agreements, that range anywhere from under 50,000 to under 300,000, all the way up to 3 million with incentives. So I'm happy to get into the nuts and bolts. Nobody comes to hear about that stuff. It's not the most interesting stuff, so I'll give out my card. You guys are more than welcome to reach out to me. And I'm happy to answer questions about it. But really what I came here to say is that I really appreciate being able to be part of this community. We really work in the San Francisco, Northern California local, specifying Northern California, because we think of our members in each area of Northern California who are out here working every day, who are wearing many hats, who are creating, who are ready to jump in the pool at any time, who are making the sacrifices, their loved ones who are here just to support them. You probably are the most committed here. And I will end on this note, which is the one constant I've seen. I mean, there are actors I know who've been happy to do a short film, and they've done one, and that's all they've ever done in their life. And then there are other performers like, you know, that we saw starting as kids, Zendaya, who came out of Northern California. You know, we see a lot of people build their careers out of Northern California. And the one thing they all share is commitment. And that is the truest thing you can have in this industry, is commitment and dedication and trust in collaborating with each other. So thank you. Thank you so much for letting me.
Awesome. So we hope that you would stay up here and take a few questions from the studio audience.
I am honored to be asked by an award-winning Mark.
Let's swap mics. Thank you. I'm not worthy. I am a big fan of SAG. For the late Charlie Holiday, hip hip, hip hip, hip hip. Love that guy. On our set, Ballbuster, he showed up just to police the set, make sure everything was going well. About 20 minutes later, he was in a tuxedo shooting a scene opposite a 150-year-old tortoise. It's a true story. I'll start out. How did you weather the storm when there was a moment in time that there were members that were confused and anxious and filmmakers at the same time? A lot of hurdles, a lot of conversations. How'd you make it?
Yeah, it was impressive. We had an interim agreement during the strike, which a number of independent productions signed. So actually, our production stayed pretty steady through the strike. So it was really about wearing that hat and still servicing those productions that wanted to cast and hire and produce locally. One of the productions was one of the very first to sign our interim agreement. And it was really those independent producers saying, we'll accept these terms, we'll accept these rates, that really pushed the ball forward in convincing the studios that the terms were workable. And meanwhile, as staff, we were trying to support local members, putting together pickets, rallies, anything to keep the media attention and focus on their rights as workers. You know, because people don't associate actors as workers. You do this for the love of it, but you have to do it for a living as well.
Sure. That's why they're so easily taken advantage of. People forget that. Just because you love what you do doesn't mean that you don't deserve a fair wage and fair treatment.
Exactly.
My first movie, Apparition, I worked with Sally Forcier. Where'd Miranda go? Yeah, anyway, we cut our teeth on that movie, and a lot of times people say, oh, if you're a filmmaker, SAG is the worst. I disagree. They were so helpful, and making sure that they protected us to make sure that we didn't do anything wrong and make sure that we didn't get sued on the set. And at the same time, obviously taking care of the talent that were there as well.